One of the features that we have on our program every week is the new car review. Mr. Mars this past week or so got to drive the Toyota Supra. The Supra, how much is that car? Is it $50,000?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
Why even ask?
Of course. Well, why don't you just go ahead and tell us? But before you start, I have to tell everybody that we got some new chairs that we're sitting in. We got them a couple of weeks ago when Mr. Mars had the Supra. Well, the problem was that he couldn't get the chairs in the car. So he had to bring the truck, and we were all disappointed because we weren't able to see the Supra. Well, I've got my order in for one. Well, maybe it's the same one, but there won't be any chairs in it. Okay, it's all yours.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of room for that, but it's not designed for that. It's never intended for that, and even the first generation of the Supra was never intended for that. So we're talking about a 2020 Toyota GR Supra. Now, it comes in 3 different trim levels. You got your base, you got a 3.0 premium, and then you have what they're calling the launch edition. They're only going to produce 1,500 of these vehicles. So it's going to be kind of not only is the Supra itself kind of a limited edition or limited model, but now you've got this launch edition that's only 1,500.
Okay, so I'm sitting in the board meeting and I'm saying, okay, we're going to spend $500 million in development of this car, and we're only going to make 1,500 of them?
Of that
model trim level.
The trim level.
The launch edition trim level. Got a lot of special features on it, which I didn't have, so I'm not going there. We had the 3.0 premium level, so it's kind of the middle of the pack. And this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle. And it comes with launch control and a lot of really cool toys that you're going to want in a performance vehicle.
That thing's sexy, man.
Yeah, it is.
This was jointly developed with BMW. And it's really, if you look at it and you look at some of the underlying structure of it, it's the Z4. And the styling on it is pretty much vintage. They went back and they looked at the 1967-2000 GT Supra as well as the recent FT1 concept car. And that's where they took their styling cues to put this vehicle together and give it a really, really nice, sharp look to it. Now, you get to looking at it. And one thing I'm going to tell you that I was surprised to find out is this vehicle is actually 4 inches shorter. The wheelbase is 4 inches shorter than the other sports car that Toyota builds, the 86 that they call it.
This is shorter than the
wheelbase
86?
is shorter.
Okay.
Now, the overhang of the body in the front and the back, because of the style of it and all the vents and the intakes and exits and all that stuff, it gives it a longer body that looks bigger, but it's really 4 inches shorter on the wheelbase. Now, that makes a big difference in how the way this thing's going to handle. But we'll get to that. So, on the outside, obviously, you're going to find they've got LED lighting, which I love the fact that in these performance vehicles, they're putting in this auto-leveling headlights. Not only directional, but up and down the auto level. Daytime running lights, tail lights, everything's LED on this vehicle. And it's got a really long overhang in the front, and it's got a lot of vents that go in and out of it. And it looks like there's a lot more there than some of them are there for looks, obviously. And the same thing on the tail end of it. A lot of that styling.
I think there's a lot of function to all of
them.
There
is, but there's a lot of them though that are there for, they look cool.
Dude,
it's part of the styling on it.
Sexy car.
And this is the body style Toyota is currently using in the Xfinity series of NASCAR. You know how all of NASCAR has gone Camaro and Firebird and Mustang?
Right.
Well, in the Xfinity series, Toyota uses this. In the Cup series, they still use the Camry.
Looks-wise, this will blow the doors off of a Camaro. But anyway, and you can see it's rolling on some nice 19-inch twin 5-spoke aluminum wheels. Got the red Brembo brake setting there to kind of really offset it. Again, lots of vents, intakes. Got the fins on the back of it that's coming up on several different vehicles that Toyota's designing. Now, if you go to the interior of it, it's got these sports seats. Now, I'm going to tell you these are some fantastic front sports seats. Got the high bolsters in it, so that when you get into it, you feel like they really wrap you, kind of engulf over you, but they're not overwhelming. That's exactly what they are.
So you're sitting in the seat instead of on the seat.
Exactly. And, of course, they're leather. They're heated. The driver's got a memory seat on it. Now, I will tell you, for an old man like me, you got to get in this vehicle. But when you get down in there, it's like getting in a Corvette.
So, in other words, there's a problem with your flat rear end.
Well, that, yeah.
Flat Stanley?
That, too. But when you get in it, you just feel like you're part of the car there. Now, it's also got a full-color heads-up display on it. Got an 8.8-inch touchscreen on it where you get your navigation, your AC, Apple CarPlay. Apple CarPlay, not Android. Apple CarPlay.
Oh, wow.
Now, of course, there's no rear seat. But behind the two seats that are there, it's open all the way into the trunk space. There's no wall
Like
or
an
anything
old
there.
Corvette.
Yes, but it's also got what you would call, I guess, a hump that goes across there for the rear differential. That's where they put some speakers and stuff. Really nice setup there. So you get this nice sound system, this JBL 12-speaker audio system kind of feeding into it from the trunk, because it can also use the trunk as part of the speaker case and just really fill it up really nice.
Push the bass in. It's all about the bass.
All about the bass. Now, up front, you're going to find it's got a 3.0 inline six-cylinder Don Armstrong.
I love inline sixes.
Which goes back to the historic Supra, which was always an inline six-cylinder.
Well, BMW twin scroll turbo, same engine as the Z4. But in this application, it's 335 horsepower. Bump it over to the Z4, it's 382, which tells you can pick up a quick almost 50 horses with a little tune because it's
easily,
the same motor. 365 pound-feet of torque with an 8-speed automatic behind it. No manual transmission available, but there is a manual mode.
Paddle shifters?
Paddle shifters, and they shift and get whenever you tell them to. EPA says if you're interested or you even care, then in the city you should get about 24 miles per gallon. Highway, it's 31. Combined, it's about 26.
That's good.
I thought it was really cool. Now, they do say that 0 to 60 is 4.16 seconds, 155 mile an hour top speed.
And you found out
I will tell you the 0 to 60, I don't have an exact stopwatch, but I will tell you that I would not argue that with them at all.
You know there's an app for that on your iPhone, right?
I'm busy shifting, man.
Have you had a grown man say to you in your old age, "You really suck, Mike Mars"?
Well, let's
the boys and their toys.
Let's keep going. So I will tell you now, out on the highway, it's got a firm ride. Now, again, it can be rough if you put it into full-blown sport setting, because depending on the road surfaces, because that's what you're asking it for. You're saying, I want that race car drive. So, and the part of that's because of the short wheelbase. Again, 4 inches shorter than the 86 Coupe. So if you're looking very much for that performance driving experience, other than the manual transmission, this is something that you need to look at. Now, if you're looking at something to compare it to, seriously, the Porsche 718 Cayman that starts at $57,500, the automatic starts at $60,000, a Chevy Corvette that starts at $59,995, or the Nissan 370Z, which is getting a little older, but if you're in a budget, then you can start into that at about $30,000. But really no comparison as far as
I like the way you just kind of fluff that off.
Yeah.
Forget that.
Last time I drove one,
Just
it's no
pass that
comparison.
off, right?
Yeah.
But now, for the Toyota GR Supra, the base price, you can get into one of these for $50,920.
Oh, that's actually a very good price.
And the test base for the 3.0 Premium, the one that we had, test base was $53,990.
$3,000 for the premium. That's pretty good value as well.
And we had a couple of little options on it.
Of course.
But again, MSRP as tested for a performance driving experience, whether you're on the road or on the track or going around a curve or drag strip, $58,280.
Don't try to buddy up to me. You still suck. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, Periscope, and at watch@InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. God, I hope I got them all in there. We have more of the In Wheel Time Car Show after a quick break.